So hello again, and I would like to welcome Andrew Kokhan. Andrew, hello.
Hello.
I can see you. I can hear you clearly. So,
Okay.
are you ready?
Yeah, always ready. Oh, wait a minute. I need to share my
Yeah,
screen.
sorry, presentation. Yeah.
Yep. Uh, this one.
Andrew's session is named "When Game Dev is More Important Than Life," and it's pretty dramatic. I thank you for sharing this story, and I can see you. Yeah, I can see your presentation clearly on our screen. So please, Andrew, take your time.
Okay. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this talk. As Sarah said, I am Andrew or Andriy Kokhan, game designer, filmmaker, and creative director and founder of NightCat Studios, a multi-directional creative studio founded in Ukraine. For the last 5 years, the first thing I told when introducing myself is that I'm a game developer. It's what I'm really proud of. But for the last 22 years, I mean all of my 22 years of my life, I was and still am proud to be Ukrainian. But I didn't say it out loud because I always thought that nationality doesn't matter. Anyway, today I am going to tell you a story about how results of 5 years of work were at risk because of this war and how we tried to save them. First, I need to clarify something. Due to, let's say, lack of funding and low internet speed, we don't have cloud backups or dedicated servers where we store all of our data. That's almost 800 gigabytes. So all of them are stored locally on my primary desktop computer. Of course, we have GitHub repositories and Google Drive, sorry, where we have backup of very critical files, but you got the point. All 5 years of work of our studio are on hard drive in Kiev. So you know the backstory, let's rewind to Q1 2022. Actually, for us, the story begins 4 days before the war on 20th of February. We were discussing with friends and colleagues all this news and rumors about upcoming invasion and troops near border of Ukraine, and we all agreed that there will be no full-scale war because it will be a very stupid decision. How little we knew. I'm kind of paranoid, so for the last week, hard drive mentioned earlier was in a so-called fast unpack mode. It wasn't screwed to the computer case, so if something bad happens, I can easily take it out and go to evacuation or shelter or elsewhere I would need to go. On the next day, I had a train from Kiev, where I live, to city where my parents live. I wanted to visit my parents, and I decided not to take drive with me. And I can say that this is the worst mistake of my life, but I was scared for a whole month. I never thought that one day I'll wake up, the war started. It was 6:30 a.m. Usually I go to bed at this time, and it was scary. My mom said me, it's a huge luck that you are here. But I didn't think so. My first words that day were why I did not take hard drive with me. Then I contact all of my colleagues who live in Ukraine. That's a major part. To be exact, it's 6 people out of 11. Almost all Ukrainian developers from NightCat Studios were not in Kiev or other cities that were in a big danger. Our project manager, Lex, was in Kiev. On the next day, evacuated with his brother, just like our Unity developer, Vlad. Pasha, environmental artist, was on vacation in the ski resort, and it took for him almost 2 days to get to the home in Mykolaiv. Yuri, level designer, on 6 a.m. were in Boryspil International Airport. waiting to travel to Italy, right the time when we heard the first missile strikes. Me and Oleg, our narrative designer, are in cities that are kind of safe. So, great news. All of us are alive and untouched. Of course, we made a couple of donations to charity organizations that provide humanitarian help, and some of us even donated to armed force of Ukraine. It wasn't much, but it was an honest work. And from the day one of the invasion, I tried to plan my trip to Kiev so I can get, well, everything I and our studio have. You know, right now I'm in Izmail. It's a city on the south of Odessa region that is on south of Ukraine. And it's this far from Kiev. It's 700 kilometers. It takes 17 hours to travel from one city to another by train and 10 to 11 hours if I travel by bus or a car. But trains and buses were cancelled, and going by car was too dangerous and almost impossible due to shortage of fuel. People were waiting for a few days in lines to gas up their cars. So we had to wait. I had this wacky setup and tried to work. This micro TV, as someone from our team called it, was to get latest news from National Teleton and information about air raid alerts. Of course, I was not just trying to work. I tried to make contribution to our victory. So I was and still am, by the way, on informational and IT front, taking part on DDoS attacks on Russian government resources. Interesting fact, there is a case of gamification too. Developers of utilities that helps to make a DDoS attack recently got an update with ranks. So if your utility makes more requests in this attack, you get a better rank. That's actually kind of funny. Game development requires lots of emotional resources, and for me, those developers who continue to work in this situation are kind of heroes too, not just because they find enough strength to work on a creative job, but also because they are fighting on economical front, which is important too. Anyway, in the end of March, finally, we got news that there is a bus route that travels to Kiev and back. It costed a lot, kind of, but it was a fair price to evacuate more valuable data and assets. Despite the fact that end of March in Kiev was much safer than Kiev was on the beginning of the war, we still didn't have confirmation about retreat of Russian troops on north of Ukraine, so it was still very dangerous adventure. We were going to Kiev not just for computer and data storages. It's also lots of our equipment. To be exact, it's one camera and two VHS cameras, don't ask why, some consoles, audio equipment, musical instruments, etc. Also, there were my passport and other documents, including a very limited number of printed documents of our studio. And that was the second major reason why I needed to go to Kiev. It was not very comfortable journey, but we were still happy that it was. And we were lucky because we managed to evacuate and take out almost all of my staff from place where I lived. During this journey, we talked to lots of people, including taxi drivers, students, Ukrainian militaries, and even cancer patients. There's no doubt that this war affected on every single person in this country, no matter where you're from. And it's very hard to fathom that yesterday we all were doing our own business, trying to create games, compose music, study, be treated from cancer or other diseases. Today, this is kind of taking a back seat. And the primary goal of all Ukrainians is to survive and defend our freedom and desire to live in this country as free people. And I'm happy and proud like never before of Ukrainian people and those who are helping us. We met several militaries on roadblocks, and some of them looked tired, but they weren't sad or angry, and I want to believe that it's a good sign. After 25 hours of bus journey, we were finally at home with all of our equipment and data storages. That story of mine was one of the few happy ending ones. Not gonna lie, I got lucky there. We did not lose home, and what's even more important, we made it out alive. Nevertheless, every day we hear stories and accounts of the events unfolded not so blissfully. Mariupol, Bucha, Borodyanka, Irpin, all these places have fallen victims to the horrendous crimes of the ruthless Russian soldiers. Everything, children laughs, cars honking, dogs barking, is now deafened by the whistling of the rockets and the artillery rumble. Everything but the voice of hope. Because we know that it will never go silent and it will lead us to victory. Because in Ukraine we don't say when the war is over, we say when we win. So what are our plans for after we win? The first thing we'll do after it all ends, or even before its end, we'll register our company as legal entity in Ukraine. Before the start of the war, we have some doubts. We wanted to register a legal entity in other country, but now we are sure that it will be in Ukraine because we want to support our homeland during its reconstruction and help to build better countries so we don't need to move to better countries, but instead make our own country better and invite our friends and colleagues from other countries. When NightCat Studios was just an idea, I had a dream that one day we'll have full Ukrainian localization in all of our projects. I knew that this can be too expensive and unnecessarily, but that's the point of dreams. Sometimes they are far from logic and cold hard statistics. From this moment, we can say that we will definitely will not release Russian localization of our upcoming projects, at least on day one. And we will definitely make Ukrainian localization of all of our upcoming projects. And we urge at least Ukrainian and European developers to make Ukrainian localization in your games right now, because lots of Ukrainian gamers don't want to see Russian language anymore and anywhere. There are lots of talented localization and dubbing studios in Ukraine, and that will be another great way to support Ukrainian game development industry during and after the war. And I said it once, I'll say it again. The best way to support Ukrainian game development industry is to buy their games and promote them and promote their developers. Before the war, there was a term post-Soviet game dev, but we, Ukrainian game developers, don't want to be post-Soviet anymore. We want to be free and independent, just like our nation wants to be. And actually, that's all I wanted to say today. Please visit our game page. We, as actually lots of Ukrainian and not just Ukrainian developers, send part of our revenue to charity, major part of our revenue, by the way. And thank you for your attention and your help to my homeland. Glory to Ukraine, glory to our heroes, and glory to creators. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for your story. Really mesmerizing. I hope Ukrainian game dev will earn a lot of support worldwide. I have some questions from our chat. So, question from Sven. How do we know which games are Ukrainian? Would be nice with a curated list of Ukrainian games so we can support you. What do you think about it?
Well, it's a tricky question because before the war, actually, not many developers declared themselves as Ukrainian, but I think that from this moment we will hear about lots of developers, and this was kind of surprise for some people that lots of studios are actually from Ukraine. So I think that yes, that's kind of a problem. But if you see that these studios, these people are from Ukraine, you know what to do. In other cases, I guess we have one problem to solve as Ukrainian game developers, so there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it's really a huge problem we need to solve because it is a really fundamental problem, I think.
Yeah,
right now.
I just also want to say that Ukrainian game development industry must be identified as Polish Gamedev did so a few years ago. So now we see lots of Polish game development studios like CD Projekt Red, etc. And I guess that should be for Ukrainian studios too.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This is way we need to move on. And I have one more question from Willy. Any tips where we could find good Ukrainian localizers?
That's a really hard question because I never were interested in that question because our studio don't
I
have
know
to.
where good Ukrainian. Okay, yeah. I have very good Ukrainian localizers friends, SBT localization, SBT, and they are doing good job localizing games, localizing art books, and they made a petition to Ubisoft in order to Ubisoft to localize their games in Ukrainian. So if you're searching for great Ukrainian localizers, SBT localization, I can recommend you. I will later send a link to our chat. Also, I hear nativeprime.com offers Ukrainian localization with natives. Yeah, great. Also, one question from our chat. Why, I think it's after your speech, this question appeared. Why did Ukrainians hide they were from Ukraine?
I think that this was kind of a problem that was in Russian game development industry because now lots of Russian game developers try to not hide but not to show that they are Russian developers, and some why Ukrainian devs thought that we should do in the same way. So now we shouldn't repeat what Russian game developers do. We should go in our own way, just like our country wants to do. So yeah, it's my opinion. I doubt that
Sure.
This is real situation, but
yeah, I think for now your opinion is what people really interested in. So that's why I asked you this question. Also, guys, if you have any questions, you can also write them here in chat, or you can find Andrew in Facebook or here in Pine and ask him his questions directly.
Actually, I don't have a page on Facebook, but I have a page on Twitter, and there is a last slide if you can show, so you can,
I think you can type it in the chat, and people can find your nickname. Okay. I have a question from James. Would it help Ukrainian game devs to get access to free multi-terabyte cloud storage?
I guess that we are only developers that were so stupid that didn't have cloud backup. We will definitely make it in a few days, maybe. So yeah, that actually will help too. We Ukrainians right now need lots of help, and storage is useful too.
Yeah. So Andrew, anything you would like to share with us before we stop this session?
The last thing, I saw another question in chat that do you have a game association in Ukraine? We definitely need to have. So that's another big task that we will have to do right now or after the victory.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This is definitely the part of game dev industry in nation unity we need to create, and I hope I will have an opportunity to invest my time and efforts to create this association. So thank you, Andrew. Stay safe. Thank you for your story. I hope we can see you again in the future. And Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.